Now, Israel is confronting a critical challenge as its air defense resources are strained under recent attacks from Hezbollah's drone arsenal.
As U.S. rushes THAAD defense systems to Tel Aviv, Israel says it never asked for American boots on the ground. Can Biden's weapon push help rejuvenate Israeli defenses? Here's a report. Take a look.
Israel is fighting battles on multiple fronts. Israel is using deadly force. The Hezbollah is proving to be a tough adversary for Israeli forces. They are continuously raining rockets and drones. Sunday's drone attack on the Golani Brigade's base, penetrating 64 kilometers into Israeli territory, killing 4 soldiers and injuring over 60 others, highlights a critical gap in Israel's defenses.
Drones are unlike rockets. They fly on a different flight path. They can move in different directions during their flight. They tend to go lower to the ground. They are slower and smaller than rockets and missiles. Taken together, this can make them much harder to detect. In fact, sometimes they're even mistaken as birds.
Israel's multi-layered air defense network has been pushed to its limits. Since October 7th, over 20,000 rockets and missiles have been launched at Israel from Gaza and Lebanon, stretching the country's interceptor stockpiles thin. Israel's multi-layered system includes the Iron Dome used to shoot down short-range missiles, David Sling used to intercept medium-range missiles, and the Arrow system, which is designed to intercept long-range ballistic missiles. To further bolster Israeli defenses, Washington has dispatched its advanced anti-missile system THAAD along with 100 U.S. troops to operate them. Israel's ability to shoot down incoming projectiles could be further tested when it decides to launch its long-promised retaliation against Iran, which has vowed to hit back hard. Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu says that Israel won't allow U.S. to dictate the terms of the attack.
We listen to the opinions of the United States, but in the ultimate analysis we'll make our own final decisions based on our own national interest. That's always been the case. It's the case with any country which takes the security of its citizens safely, and that continues to be the case now. And the US understands that fact as well.
However, Netanyahu has reportedly reassured the White House that Israel was only contemplating targeting military sites. Biden administration has publicly warned Israel against striking Iran's nuclear or oil facilities in order to avoid a broader war. The big question is, when and how will Israel strike back? Bureau Report, WION, World is One.
All right, for more on this, we're being joined by Professor James A. Russell, live from Ontario, California. He's an associate professor in Department of National Security Affairs at NPS, where he's teaching courses on U.S. foreign policy in the Middle East, military innovation, and national security strategy. Thank you so much for joining us on the show.
Thank you.
Professor, let me start by asking you, everyone was anticipating how will Israel retaliate to the October 1st attack by Iran. It seemed as if Israel was delaying it. Now, with THAAD being approved by U.S. and they're being deployed there, do you think Israel was waiting for that green light from them and that they could not have probably done that without U.S. support of defense?
Well, I think the American anti-missile support for Israel, which has been going on for months now, of course, has been instrumental in Israel's plans to strike targets in Iran and elsewhere. And I think the THAAD system is just another extension of this. We've been with our allies. It's not just the United States. The British have been helpful. Others have been helpful. And so this is simply a continuation of what's been going on for the last 7 months, in which the United States has become increasingly enmeshed in Israel's desire for a wider war with the Iranians. And I think the deployment of the Theater High Altitude Air Defense System to Israel by the Biden administration is a very dangerous move on the part of Biden. It opens the prospect, of course, that it places American troops directly in harm's way. And it opens up the prospect, again, of the United States participating even more directly in this escalatory exchange between the two adversaries.
Professor, Israel is saying that they've not asked for American boots on Israeli territory or Israeli soil, but America has still sent them. I wanted to ask you, what are America's stakes in Israel? Because Ukraine has been getting bombed for nearly 3 years now, but we've not seen American boots on Ukrainian soil. But here, even when Israel hasn't called them, they're there. What are U.S. stakes there?
It's the $64,000 question, of course, that many of us in the United States are wondering about. But it's been clear since the crisis began that as far as the Biden administration is concerned, that the United States and Israel are joined at the hip. Whatever Israel wants, Israel gets. Israel, for its part, has been ignoring all American suggestions for any kind of restraint over the last year. I was amused to hear your reporting on this letter that's come from Secretary Blinken and the Secretary of Defense Austin Long. I mean, people have been starving on the Gaza Strip now for the last 10 months, and these two administration officials are now writing the Israelis a letter about it. I mean, it's hard to know whether to laugh or cry at the ridiculousness of the situation and the treatment of the United States by the Israelis. And yet the Biden administration just sort of marches along, turns the other cheek, and keeps writing the checks and keeps sending weapons. It's a mystery to me, to a lot of us in the national security community.
Absolutely. I was actually going to come to that because you pointed it out. Whatever Israel says, now U.S., whenever they want to tell them that don't go into Gaza, don't kill civilians, they do it. And you want to go for don't invade Lebanon, they go and do that. And they've also told Israel not to attack Iran's oil and nuclear facilities. Now, with that placing in, do you think Israel has a possibility that they will be going there to attack oil facilities or nuclear bases there?
Well, the one thing that the observation I would make about Israeli actions over the last, 10, 12 months is that they're unpredictable and they're unrestrained. And frankly, I wouldn't believe a word that comes out of any Israeli government official's mouth about what they will or won't strike. I think it's very unpredictable. I certainly hope that whatever reportedly private, sort of communications have gone between Netanyahu and the Biden administration about striking these potential sites in Iran, I hope it's true. But if history is any guide, I wouldn't hold any stock in anything that the Israelis have said. And the one thing I would say about this also is that this is a war that Israel has sought and that Benjamin Netanyahu has sought for years now. And now they've got it. And guess what? The enemy is raining missiles down on them too, and it could get a lot worse for them. I mean, it's the truism of the adage is be careful what you wish for. The Israelis want the wider war. It looks like they're going to get it. I just hope from the American perspective that the Biden administration can somehow keep us out of this fight, which is already a disaster. There are 1 million people that are displaced in Lebanon. The Israelis are now slaughtering people in southern Lebanon just the way they've done in southern Gaza. It's just what an appalling situation.
And it only seems to be getting worse. There seems to be no ray of light coming in, and ceasefire talks are not even on the table at this point, and not even in reports anywhere. One can only hope at this point. Thank you so much for joining in, Professor Russell. Always a pleasure speaking with you.
Thank you for having me.